Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening for those who are in other time zones. Welcome to this live stream with ProcessMaker here, Manuel Navarro from the adoption team. Really happy to join you guys today in our live session. And today we're gonna have something really interesting to have a look. Today we're gonna play with one of our templates. One of our most commonly used templates is the vendor onboarding, and we're gonna start configuring it using a couple of features that we have released in the last two versions of the platform. One of those is the decision tables. So we are gonna match. We're gonna insert in one of our templates the decision table feature, and we're gonna have a look on how we can use it as well next to a bootstrap control. So this is gonna be a very interesting live sessions when we will be doing all these configurations next to you. So if you are interested on this content, if you would like to have a look on different processes, templates, and different sessions that we have had, just don't forget to subscribe in our channel. You can have a look at all our content and support us during these sessions. So let's get started right now. What are we looking at the screen? We're seeing our designer screen. You have seen it from previous live sessions where we were playing with AI, and the last session as well. We were playing a lot with the platform, looking at some other amazing features. But today we're gonna play with one of our templates that we have created for you to start using the platform right from the very beginning. So first of all, what if I want to use ProcessMaker? What if I want to use the BPMN platform with a predefined process? I just have to click here on process, and here I'm gonna have all our templates gallery. Right now we have almost 60 processes deployed under, and you have a lot of elements in there. You have banking processes, higher education processes, you have operations processes, and today we're gonna play with the vendor onboarding process, right? So if you want to have a look in which are the templates that we have available for you, you can visit our template gallery. Here you can click on it, or you can just simply visit us into our webpage, and here you're gonna find all the different templates that we have ready for you, ready to play, ready to configure, and ready to use. So here I'm gonna select the vendor onboarding template. I'm just gonna have to type in, and automatically he's gonna start looking at the different templates I have. And here I have the vendor onboarding template. I just have to do clicking here, and I can have a preview of the process map, right? Here I can have a look on how the process looks like, a bit of the descriptions that we have on the templates as well. I just have to click on use template, right? If I click on the use template, you just have to name it, select a process manager. In this case, I'm just gonna select an admin user, and I'm gonna just put a different name. I'm gonna select live and click on save. At the moment, I have already created in the background. So this is how this is gonna look like. Let me just speak it. Here it is. This is live. This is the live process that we have just created using the vendor. And this is our new canvas. From previous sessions, we have shown guys how we can navigate and how we can play with it. So first element, just as a refresher, how we can navigate through the new canvas. We have just to tap on the space bar, and we have a hand where we can move the process map all around. Or as well, we have the mini map where we can focus on specific elements, right? So for example, I can have a look on the different tasks here directly in the center of my screen. And let's walk you through how this process looks like. This process is gonna look this way. First, a requester is gonna approve some terms and conditions of a new vendor onboarding. This is the way it usually works, the vendor onboarding in companies. Someone from a specific area request a new vendor for being their supplier. So he start a requester from it, But in this case, ProcessMaker allows you to directly interact with vendor. So here we are sending to a vendor, we are sending an email with a form 100% done in ProcessMaker and connected to the platform, where the vendor can just type in his information. So yes, we don't need to back and forth in emails. We don't need to back and forth in physical forms or PDFs with vendor information. We can just send to the vendor directly the web form for him to fill out, for him or she to fill out the vendor data. The supplier manager can just review the vendor, right? You can approve whether the information is correct or not. And if everything is fine, we will continue to our risk assessment. If something is incorrect, we can just circle back, right? Receiving and sending again the form to fill out the vendor information, so the vendor can just correct whatever has to improve for his application. And then once everything is done and once the supplier manager approves, he can just go to the vendor risk assessment task. And this is where the magic starts. A vendor risk assessment is one of those tasks that are pretty specific in terms of what we would like to get from the vendor. So here we're gonna evaluate a few dimensions of the risk with the vendor, and right now the template allows you just to approve and reject based on the approval or the action of a user. But what we are going to do is we're going to add here in the middle, we're going to add here a decision table where you can automatically approve or reject the vendor based on the risk assessment. So how cool is it? You can actually increase your threshold, decrease your thresholds of approval, and you don't need to have really a super manual approver. You can have a decision engine embedded in one of these templates ready for use, and that's what we would like to do live. Once the risk is approved, we are gonna add some vendor information. We can create it in a user, and the vendor or the representative of the vendor can add his information directly into ProcessMaker to create a user and to log in into, and he can start playing with the different processes that we might have for the vendor. For example, purchase order processes or invoice approval processes, which are as well some of our templates that we have available in our solutions. So let's get started. And how we will start? We will start running this process as is. Right? So we're gonna run the process as is, and we're gonna see the different screens, how you can interact, and then we're gonna modify the process, adding the decision table in the middle, right? So let's get started. I'm just gonna open my request tab here on the top left part of the screen, and I'm gonna look for the vendor process. This is the live test we will be playing with. And the system is asking me for the terms and conditions. Remember the first task that we have? Let's get approved the terms and conditions for the new vendor. Here we're gonna have the customer journey, what is gonna happen with the vendor. We're gonna fill out some company information, the vendor is gonna fill his own information, someone is gonna review, and at the end, when everything is done, someone is gonna approve via signature, right? So let's get started. So we have here prepare an example. Let's get started with a company. Let's call it the Pineapple Heaven Incorporated, right? So I'm gonna say I am the representative of this company, and I'm gonna say Manuel. I am working for pineapple.com, right? So I'm here, the system's getting the information. I'm thinking there's someone who needs a new vendor. He just needs to type in the basic information of the vendor, so the vendor can receive a link and he can start adding the information for its vendor onboarding. Now look at this. This is the email I just received. Dear Pineapple Heaven Incorporated, Manuel Navarro has been invited you to register as a vendor. Please visit the following link to complete your application. So let's click on the link, right? And what we have here, we have a form built in ProcessMaker, rendered ready for you to add the vendor information. So here we have Pineapple Incorporated, and I'm gonna select which kind of category, supply category we have. This is kind of a food category, and in the industry, definitely organic bio, right? I can add my company number, the years in the business, right? Some phone to be contacted in, and here some data from it. In the email, I'm gonna say sales at pineapple.com, my address, whatever I have, the city I have, the state, and some zip codes that I might want to add. Manufacturing address and a shipping address. And just click on next, and here we can add more information. Look at this one. These forms are ready for you to use and to start playing it. If you need to configure these forms, if you need to change something on it, you can just easily do it within our form builder. I'm just gonna add some background on this. This is a company based on Durham, where our headquarters are in, and what we produce is a lot of juice with different flavors, right? So I can add here the different products and services that Pineapple provides, and I can click on next. And look at this one. This is really cool. This is one of those things that we want to show you guys. These forms, these web forms rendered can actually provide you with an option to upload files. So your vendors can upload directly your files, their files within the process. So whether the vendor representative or whether the approvals in the company needs can have a look on those documents without having to go back and forth in emails, which is pretty much the experience most companies has when they don't have a system that manages their vendors. Here we can select, for example, I'm just gonna select a few PDFs that I have, a couple of elements in here. I'm just gonna upload some PDFs I have already downloaded in one of my folders, and I can add as many files as required, right? So as a vendor, I can just submit my basic information. Look at this one. This is very interesting. This template allows you to send that form to the vendor and the vendor to fill out its own information. So you don't need actually to type in the vendor information and to confirm with the vendor if this is right or wrong. The form gives you the opportunity to the vendor to fill out the information directly. So I'm just gonna submit this. And what is gonna happen next? If we remember, right, here we have it. If we remember, we just fill out that form, someone is gonna review that form. Here's where we have the review vendor information. So let's have a look in our request, what is happening in there, right? Here we have it. Here we have the latest request that we have started. If I click on it, I'm gonna have here my task where I can review the vendor information that I have just received, right? Here we have it. This is all the data directly filling from the vendor, all the information regarding the business. I can just have a look on the background information, pretty neat, right? In the supporting documents, look at this one. I can review the documents directly within the system. I don't need to download it. I have a document preview within this screen. How cool is it? You can actually put bigger, smaller, download it if required. So it's kind of a cool feature, right? So I'm just gonna close the preview and continue doing this. This is the commercial review. This is the first review. We are just confirming that everything is fine, that all the information is complete. All is complete. Please proceed. Proceed with vendor risk assessment, right? Right. So let's proceed with this assessment, and all the information is complete, right? I'm gonna sign up as the vendor management, and I'm gonna approve this first task, right? So let's have a look on how the process is gonna work. The process is gonna jump into the vendor risk assessment. At this moment, And here you have the vendor risk assessment, where we can have a look on the different information we have filled in, and as well the information that our vendor has filled in. Here we have all the vendor information, all the background. Actually, the form is gonna jump directly into the risk, just to go directly into the important matter. But you can navigate through the different sections of the form, right? But look at it. The vendor jumps directly into the risk review. If required, you can just come back into any page and you can start adding the different evaluations of the risk, right? Look at this one. Look at how cool is it. We are just getting the different results and we have a risk score, right? But in this case, we have just a button that says approve and to sign in. This is the experience we have, but we want something more automated, right? We want to have a look on the decision tables working on this to evaluate if this is a good risk or a bad risk, right? We want to have this kind of experience within the application. The vendor onboarding process was pretty good with this way to approve or reject our vendor. We can just click here and submit to continue approving this, and the system is going to approve it because that's the way it's configured. But we want to add that decision table that we are mentioning, that we are highlighting. Just to continue with the application, and just to finish the example, and then we will be jumping in how we can modify this. Let's have a look on this one. Look at this one. Once everything is approved, the vendor will be receiving an email to add the vendor representative information, right? So let's have a look in our email, right? Look at this one. Add your representative information, right? And here we need to add the vendor representative information. I can just click on it and the system is going to ask me about the credentials and all the data that we want to add into the platform. So this vendor onboarding process is not going to get the information from the vendor. As well, it allows you to create new users within the system so the users can interact with other processes, as we mentioned, such as in invoice approval or purchase orders, which are pretty common, right? So this is for Brianna, the last name for Brianna Smith. I'm just gonna add some phone number, a work phone number, and Brianna pineapple.com. I really prefer that Brianna can be contacted by email. I'm just gonna continue this. And here I am creating the user for Brianna. Here we have it. Brianna is not taken in the system, so I'm gonna add my password, confirm my password if it's valid, and the system is gonna allow me to create a new user, right? So here we're finishing the application, right? Remember what we did. Someone in a company requests a new vendor. The vendor start filling their application. The supplier manager approves that information. A risk manager assess the risk, either approve or reject, and the vendor add his information, right, directly into the system. And we should have received here an email notification saying that Brianna, look at this one, Brianna Pineapple, dear Brianna Smith, you have successfully created your credentials to complete your application. Please go to our system to log in anytime to interact with us. So this is the way it works, the vendor onboarding without our decision table. So let's go to the nice part of this, right? Let's go to adding a new feature within the platform. What we would like to add, our decision tables. So let's have a look first in the decision tables module. I'm just gonna open here, the decision tables module. I'm gonna open it in here and look at this one. Here I have a table. I have already created that table. This is the risk assessment table. And if I click on it, I'm gonna have a DMN standardized decision table to fill in the information or to evaluate the risk of this vendor, right? Look at this one. Here we have a few elements that are important. First, I have my risk score, right? And if you remember from the previous screen, we say if the evaluation is 1, the risk is very high. If the evaluation is 2, the risk is high. And here you have the different levels, right? We can say from very high to very low, different risk scores, and an approval decision, right? Look at this one. I'm saying here that I can either deny whether the risk score is below 3 or equal to 3, or approve when it's above or equal to 4, right? This is pretty simple. And we want to add this one directly into the platform, so it's easier for the risk area just to evaluate, and the decision table will manage the different thresholds that are associated to it. So let's make it, let's integrate this decision table that we have already created directly into the process modeler, right? So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna start moving this a bit around. I'm gonna move this event just right here. I'm gonna move this one in here, right? Just move it. I'm gonna move this one as well. Let's remove some points of this, remove this one, right? This is the way you can do it. Let's move this one in here and remove this flow. And here's where I'm gonna add my new my new decision task. So just as a refresher from our previous session, our new modeler has the different elements, all the different controls in this menu, where we can just pick and choose which are the different menus or the different elements we would like to use commonly. And decision table is some one of those elements that we always want to use when we try to automate as much as possible our processes. So look at this one. I just pin these elements directly in our menu, and you can see it just down below the canvas. So I'm gonna click on it and I'm gonna drop it directly into the canvas, and I'm gonna move the flow from here to here, so I am connected it into the process flow, right? And then I'm gonna start configuring it. Here we have in the decision tables the different tables that I will be running on the process. And here I have the risk table I have created for this example. I'm just gonna save this one. And here we have the variable mapping, right? Here we have the outbound data, the data that is going through the table, and the outbound, and the response mapping, the data that is incoming from the table to the process. So we can just send the risk scores directly into the decision table, and we are receiving back the information from the table into the process, right? So I'm gonna just start this one, and the request variable that we will be adding, we need to get it from here, from the vendor risk assessment. So just let's open the screen just to refresh our minds how this variable is called, right? So here I have it in the vendor risk. Here we have the variable is called the risk score, right? I'm gonna say, I'm gonna take this one, this is the risk score variable, and I'm gonna say that this risk score variable is the one that I will be sending, and which is the input variable from the table. So the input variable for the table is named the same way, risk score. So I'm just gonna put it in here, right? And that's the idea. The variables from the process goes to the variables to the decision table, so we can start evaluating it. And I'm gonna save this one. And which are those variables, which is the result I am expecting from the decision table. The result that I am expecting from the decision table will be the approved boolean, right? The decision directly from the table. So I'm gonna open here the response mapping, and I'm gonna say that the table is gonna give me this one, and I'm gonna store this one in a variable that is called approved boolean as well. Just approved boolean as well, just to keep it with the same name, right? So this is the way we configure the decision table. But now we need to configure as well the gateways, right? The flow after the gateway, because right now it's working with the decision made by the user independent risk assessment. So I'm gonna click in here and look at this one. I'm gonna change this this expression with the variable risk for the approved boolean. We are using directly the result from the decision table, and we are using it in the expression, right? And I'm gonna do the same in here for this task, so we can see how we can configure the decision table with this specific action. So I'm gonna save this one, right? Which other changes that we need to do? Let's have a look. That's pretty much what we have, right? Yes, that's what we have. And yes, let's make some runs on this. So let's get started. I'm just gonna close this one. I'm just gonna close this screen. I'm gonna close this one, and I'm gonna get again into my request tab. Let's get started. Again, vendor live. Let's run for the same example. Let's start sending this information to our new vendor, right? The representative name. This is the representative information. I'm gonna add here another email from Pineapple Heaven. I'm gonna submit this, right? I should be receiving an email shortly. Let's wait for a second. Let's wait in here. There you are. Here you have Fernando, requester, Pineapple. Someone is requesting for your information. I'm gonna click on this. Again, the form just spin up. Let's add more information regarding this. We are in the food category supplier, in the organic and bio. Let's add some AIN information, some years in the business, some data on it. I'm not gonna fill out much more information just to continue with this. Just information regarding the background. And remember, all these forms can be configured. All these forms, you can change it for your own questions. You can define whether if it's required or not each of these fields. So these forms are really easier to configure. We have seen that those files can be uploaded, so I'm not going to upload many more files into the system. I'm just going to submit this one, right? Once we have submit this task, we have here in the request, I should have received in here in the system. And look at this one, here we have it. We are gonna receive here the review vendor review form. We're gonna review the vendor information, right? So I'm gonna click on this one. I'm gonna see all the information that we have just filling, all the data, the background information. We haven't uploaded any supporting documents for the example, but I can continue here with the commercial review. I'm gonna say that all it's okay, and I'm gonna say the information is complete, and let's approve this pretty quickly. And this is where the magic starts, right? This is where the this is where our risk officer is gonna start looking at the vendor and evaluating his risk, right? So I'm gonna click on this task. Let's click on next. It goes directly into the risk review, and I'm gonna select something. Let's give it a try. Let's do something different. We have seen how you reject it, right? How we approve it. But let's add an example where we can see how this is rejected, right? So let's add a very high risk, right? A very high risk vendor in here to be automatically rejected. So we haven't sent many more information. We are curious about it, so maybe it's not that good idea. So the risk score is pretty low. I'm just gonna keep the form as it is, and I'm gonna sign up, and I'm gonna submit this one. So the system should reject this vendor automatically, right? Let's give it a try. I'm gonna click on submit. Right? And let's see what happens. here, if we go to all the requests, first of all, we can see that the process has been completed. So the process has finished. Why is that? Because that's the way we configure it. When the risk manager or when the decision table has not approved, the process finishes, right? So I can have a look on this one, and I can take a look on all the data from the vendor, and I can see that the decision task has been executed and this has not been approved. So we have automated the decision of approve or reject one of these vendors, right? How cool is it, right? This is something that we are really proud of it, and we really want to show you guys how this can be used on your processes and on your systems. So let's give it a second try, but using our bootstrap control, right? So let's give it a small tweak into the form. Let's add a different control, and let's keep the decision table on it to see how this works, right? So we're gonna modify our risk assessment screen. We're gonna add a different control, and we're gonna give it a third try to the process to see the decision table working next to a bootstrap control that allows you to get a more user-friendly experience for your users in these kind of processes. So let's start doing it. And I'm just gonna open here my screen, my vendor risk screen, and I'm gonna go through the vendor risk page, right? And the way this works is this one. The way this works right now, if you can see, it's basically we have different factors, a result and score right now. So we would like to use a different control to make this really a neat experience. So let's do some changes on this, right? We are going to change all this factors, result, and score. We're going to change all of that for a nicer experience, for a bootstrap experience, for something that we call a form rating element in bootstrap directly into this form. So I'm just going to click on design, right? I'm going to click on design, and I'm going to start doing some changes on this one. Here we have the bootstrap control. Let's have a look on the bootstrap control. I'm gonna drag and drop my bootstrap control, right? And I'm gonna name the bootstrap control the same as the score, just to maintain all the configuration we have for this form. So I'm gonna select this one, bootstrap control, right? And I'm gonna say this is the security risk, right? So this is our first factor of risk, the security risk, right? And here in the bootstrap, I have to configure it here as a form rating, right? Look at this one. Here we have the different ratings, right? Let's have a preview, risk review, right? Look at it here. Here you have the risk assessment, right? So right now, because it's duplicated, it's not showing it properly, but I'm just gonna remove this guy. I'm gonna preview it, and this is how this looks like. Great. Let's make it run. Let's continue with this. This is the security risk. Here we have, this is our form rating, right? But remember, our form rating has a special condition. It has a special element in the middle. We have seen that our risk were evaluated from 1 to 7, right? We have seen that these guys were evaluated from 1 to 7. So, and the spin button has just 5. So how we can configure that? Just as simple as the bootstrap are always configured. We have just to go here and to configure the number of elements, number of stars that we would like to use, right? So in this case, we're going to say 7, And look at this one, 7 stars appears in here, right? So I'm gonna remove this one. This is the result control. And look at this one. And look at it. Here we have the risk score that is moving. The factor, the result, and so on, it's here. So let's do that for all those 7 elements, for all those 5 different factors that we have done, that we have in this form. So we can play with the same process with a new element and with the decision table at the same time. So I'm gonna remove this guy, and we are gonna start with this one, right? So I'm gonna remove this one. I'm gonna add my bootstrap component. I'm gonna configure this bootstrap component with this name, right? I'm just gonna say this is the result number 2, right? I'm gonna say this is form rating, and I'm just gonna copy and paste my configuration in here, right? So I'm gonna paste my configuration in here, right? Now I have 7 of this one, and this was our compliance risk, right? This is our compliance risk, right? Now it's in there. I'm gonna remove this one. I'm gonna remove this one. Now we have the compliance risk, and let's do the same for all these other elements. Drag and drop. Again, this is the result number 3. This is the financial risk. This is the financial risk, right? I'm gonna say this is 7 stars. This is time picker, and look at all the different bootstrap elements we have. We have form ratings, we have spin buttons, we have form tags, form pickers. We can introduce tables, images, and above, and we are adding more features with our new releases. So always keep in touch with our channel, with our YouTube channel. Please subscribe into our YouTube channel. We will be showing more examples and more of these elements live. In this case, I'm just going to select a form rating. Again, this is the result number 3. Yes, remove this one, and let's have a preview of this, how this is looking. Look at this one. You are selecting all these elements, right? You can see the risk score is changing. It's auto-calculating with the new element. So it's really powerful and simple to do these kind of configurations to our templates. So I'm just gonna drag and drop again, another control. We are just 2 of them left. This is result number 4. I'm just gonna remove this one, right? Select again the configuration. This is my form rating. This is a 7-star form rating, right? I'm gonna remove this one. This is actually our operational risk. This is our operational risk. And the last one, it should be our reputational risk, right? So let's take the result number 5. Let's put it in here. Operational risk. Operational risk. Remove this one. Remove this one. Configure our form rating bootstrap control. We say this is 7 stars, so it's a 7-star one, right? Preview how this looks like. This looks like this way, right? Look at this. It's working pretty fine, right? So no complaints. And let's add a few elements here. Oh, I have something here repeated. This is not operational. This is reputational. Right? Reputational. Here it is. And we're gonna remove these guys. We already don't need this, so I'm just gonna remove it from my configuration as well. I'm just gonna remove this one. Let's keep it on a 12 element, right? Just remove this one, save, look at this one. Now I have it in just one column, save. Let's change all of these ones pretty quickly, save. Let's publish this form. Here I have it: security risk, compliance risk, financial risk, reputational risk, operational risk, and reputational risk, right? So I can just pick and choose whether the risk is selected, right? How cool is it? Love it, guys, right? Love to see as well your reactions and your comments in our chat box. So let's remember a bit of the risk, how they are going to behave. So whatever we want to have a proof, it has to be above 4. So something like this is going to work fine to make this vendor approve, right? So let's give it a second try to our template. Let's save this form, let's publish this form, and let's go again on this. I'm gonna close the screen, gonna close the decision table. I'm gonna leave the process modeler right there, and I'm gonna start again a request. Third time that we run it, and remember, first we did it without the decision table, the process as it is in the template available in the web page or directly into our system. The second try we did it with a decision table, automating the decision from our risk assessment task. And right now we have the bootstrap elements where we can actually graphically select which is the level of risk that we are taking with this new vendor. So I'm gonna select here vendor, I'm gonna start in here, and let's get started again with this. So let's continue with our pineapple heaven, and definitely now I would love to have some fruit. Definitely I am hungry at this moment, looking all those pineapples in my screen. So this is the representative name and representative name. I'm just gonna add in here pineapple.com, right? I'm just gonna click on submit. I should be receiving an email. There we have representative at Pineapple. I have here my form, 3 different vendor onboardings. All of them works pretty much the same, right? Here you have the supply category, the industry. You can add all the information that you might want, the background information that we already have. So let's add some information of this, right? I'm just gonna copy and paste this one. Click on next. I'm not gonna select any document at the moment. I'm just gonna click on submit. Cool. I should be receiving my next steps here in the ProcessMaker tab. Here we have the review vendor form. The review vendor form is gonna have the information of the pineapple, all the information we have filled. This last email I used for the example. I'm just gonna see the vendor background information, no documents to review, comments, all okay, please proceed. Perfect. I'm gonna say all the information is complete, and I'm gonna approve. Once I have approved, here I have my vendor risk assessment. This is where the magic comes from. Initial screen, summary information, click on next, our new control. That's amazing. I really love it. And I'm gonna start selecting it. Not much risk, maybe a bit of financial risk. And here we have it. This is a risk score of 6, right? In our decision table, we're approving everything that is above 4. So this should be approved. I'm just gonna say approve vendor or approve this information. I'm capturing the date of the signing of this, my signature, and I'm gonna submit. So what is next? Let's remember, if this has been approved, the representative information has to be requested to the vendor. So I should be receiving an email for this, right? Let's have a look if I receive an email. Look at it. I receive an email. Dear, please add your information. I can just click on here and continue adding my information. I have just previously approved this one. So I'm gonna add here my vendor information. I'm gonna add here my cell phone, some work phone as well. I'm gonna say please contact me by email. From pineapple.com. I'm just gonna use Fernando as my username. He's validating that it exists or not. It doesn't exist. I'm gonna add here my password, right? And I can create my profile. Now we have created my profile. Should be receiving an email of confirmation of all of this. But I just want to have a look how the track, how all the tracks of this process is looking like. This is the request that we have just execute. And if we have a look here, look at this one. We have gone through the decision task and it was automatically approved. So this is the way it works. We have seen templates, our decision, our vendor approval template. We have seen decision tables and as well the bootstrap component. I hope you like this one, guys. Please join us in our next session. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'm really happy to see you today with us. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye bye.